An all-star cast plays a group of immortal beings in Marvel's Eternals.
Icarus!
Evening, ladies.
Watch out!
Justin, Marvel's Eternals is a bit of a different take on the superhero genre, especially for Marvel's cinematic universe, which has been fairly reliable and fairly kind of predictable. What did you think of it?
Well, one, it's very brave of them to choose a property that not a lot of people are familiar with. And I think that kind of hindered them because what you learn when you watch this movie is that the Eternals have a lot of backstory. And I think that's what contributes to this movie being 2 hours and 37 minutes long.
Absolutely.
And because of that, they have to spend a lot of time establishing these characters and who they are and why they matter. And then they got to tell the story of the movie. And even with all this time, it still feels rushed.
Absolutely, I agree. And you mentioning that this is kind of a more like obscure Marvel group of superheroes. And the real question I think that we both came out of this wondering was, did this really have to be made? Like, was this a story that needed to be told?
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of it, I think it's a beautiful looking movie.
Mm-hmm.
Chloe Zhao directed this. She directed last year's Nomadland.
Mm-hmm.
So she's kind of a different director, and she's putting her own twist on that, or she's putting her own flavor on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate that. But also, I just didn't. There wasn't a whole lot for me to latch on to here emotionally.
I agree, and they really, and I think they really try to connect it to the other movies, the past Marvel movies, but the only way to really connect it is just by name dropping, which is what this does.
Absolutely.
You know, there is hints of the Celestials, which are beings in this movie that were like hinted at in the past Marvel movies, and they used this movie to explain who they are, and it almost feels like that's all they were trying to do.
There's not a whole lot of connection to other Marvel movies. So people wondering, well, are there any other Marvel movies before this that I need to see? No, not really. If you know who Thanos is, if you know kind of what happened in Avengers Endgame and Infinity War, then that's pretty much, I mean,
and it's even just hinted at in this movie.
Right.
It's not even covered, really.
Yeah. So I think that like I said, there's an all-star cast here. Most of them could be switched out with anyone. Angelina Jolie, she's okay sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Salma Hayek, I always appreciate her showing up.
Yeah.
Kumail Nanjiani has the worst role in this as the comic relief that isn't funny at all.
Yeah, he's got a heavy weight to bear to make this movie funny, and it doesn't work.
Right.
Well, it's fine.
Yeah. So, and there's some other fine performances, but overall, I just kind of left this not really feeling any kind of anticipation for when it shows up at the very end where it says the Eternals will return.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, great, good for them, but I don't think I'll be returning. What would you give it for a rating?
A 3.
Yeah.
It's not a waste of time, but it's not necessary.
Yeah, 3 stars for me as well. That this is really tough, especially with the running time, which I think is such a hindrance.
Yes.
And just jumping around the timeline and so on, that makes it really tough for me to recommend to everyone.
Yep.
To see all that's going on in St. Joseph, check out St. Joe Live every Thursday in the St. Joseph News Press or anytime at newspressnow.com. And you can join Bob Schultz and I next week as we check out Belfast. Until then, we'll be live at the movies. See you later.